Jinhsi is incredible, not because of her fantastic design and animations, not because of her unmatched burst DPS, but because of how she enables many characters on your roster that have likely been collecting dust. Jinhsi is a character that turns supports and sub DPSs with low viability on meta teams of the past into the top tier picks of the present. She accomplishes this due to her kit's heavy emphasis on off-field damage from her teammates and personal skill damage. With the energy system present in the Tower of Adversity preventing the use of a character across multiple chambers, identifying these high-value 4-star characters is key to progressing as far as you can in the tower to obtain those time-limited rewards. You can be very strategic with who you use and where. Today, we'll be doing an in-depth dive on the nuances of Jinhsi's kit and the best teams to maximize her DPS across different investment levels, from free-to-play to premium. As a disclaimer, the Jinhsi in this video is at S0, S1 with a full 5-piece Spectro set. To break this all down, we need to start from the ground up with a look at Jinhsi's kit. A majority of Jinhsi's damage comes from activating her empowered resonance skill, or the massive laser beam from her dragon. Building up to this huge nuke requires a lot of preparation from both her teammates and her own rotations. Jinhsi must first enter her incandescent state to use her empowered skill. After using basic attack 4 or her intro skill, her first empowered skill will become available, dealing damage to enemies while activating incandescence. During incandescence, she'll get a single cast of her second empowered skill that will cause her to dash through enemies. All attacks during the incandescent state will count as resonance skill damage, and her attack chain cannot be interrupted by dodging. Attacking 4 times during incandescence will allow her to use her third empowered skill. You can actually skip the second cast of her skill if you want shorter rotations. Using her third empowered skill will consume all of her forte bar to deal additional damage based off how much of her forte bar was consumed. Using a third cast at maximum stacks is how you deal the most damage. Jinhsi's forte bar increases by 1 stack anytime a character deals attribute or elemental damage. Each element has a 3-second cooldown, while coordinated attacks like Yinlin's forte bar or Verina's ultimate generate 2 stacks with a separate 3-second cooldown per attribute. This forte bar has a cap of 50 stacks. When Jinhsi activates her outro skill, the 3-second cooldown per element becomes 1 second for 20 seconds across both sources. Jinhsi also gets a free activation of her outro skill and the switched-in resonator's intro skill whenever she casts her third empowered skill, basically granting her a free full concerto bar. This means that Jinhsi's first rotation is arguably her slowest and lowest damage. You're building up her forte bar with that 3-second cooldown per element, while every rotation afterwards is buffed by her outro skill to generate stacks at almost 3 times the rate. With this in mind, Jinhsi heavily prefers coordinated attackers in her team lineups to maximize her forte bar gains, and in turn the damage of her nukes. Now that we've covered the essential mechanical parts of her kit, let's dive into our first set of teams, free-to-play or budget teams. This lineup includes Yanwu, Spectral Rover, and Tao Qi as her main teammates. Yanwu provides coordinated attacks with almost no downtime. His resonance skill plants a totem that deals coordinated attack damage anytime an enemy is damaged in its radius. The cooldown of the ability is 3 seconds, and at later ascensions, he gains a huge amount of range for his totems and even more uptime, as he'll automatically place one as he leaves the field. At later sequence node levels, he even grants a shield based off his defense to the team. Yanwu works exceptionally well on the Rejuvenating Glow set and the Bell Turtle, along with the Originite Gauntlet. He also provides a heavy amount of vibration damage, or stagger bar damage, on all of his attacks. Without his sequence node 4, it's tough to run him as the only sustained character on the team. That's where Tao Qi or Spectral Rover comes in. Tao Qi has incredible survivability through her forte bar and resonance skill, providing a damage shield and a damage reduction buff. Tao Chi excels with either the Rejuvenating Glow or Moonlit Cloud set in this lineup, as her outro skill provides a massive 38% resonance skill damage boost to the switched in Resonator. Equipping Tao Chi with Discord, which is rated up on Jinhsi's weapon banner, will be the #1 choice to smoothing out her rotations on the field. Tao Chi's buffs are also particularly effective when Jinhsi takes the field, as she can literally ignore most of the enemy's moveset with the Bellborn Geochalone and Rocksteady shield buffs active, giving her 95 damage reduction and getting her to the fastest rotations possible. Spectral Rover, on the other hand, provides team-wide healing at sequence node 4, spectral resistance reduction at sequence node 6, and an outro skill that boosts survivability by slowing down the enemy significantly. Rover can use the exact same sets as Tao Chi, but has far more room in their kit to build offensively due to their low skill cooldowns and relatively fast concerto energy generation. Moonlit Clouds is a great option in this team, especially when running them with Yanwu on Rejuvenating Glow. Any combination of Yanwu and either of these two characters will excel across content. I have literally 3-star cleared the last floor of the Hazard Zone with Yanwu and Tao Chi, both at level 40 with a level 75 Jinhsi. As long as the characters can get Jinhsi's stacks and keep her alive, they'll get the job done. As a note on budget teammates, some may be wondering why I didn't mention Mortefi. Unfortunately, Mortefi's Resonance Liberation only fires off its coordinated attacks when basic or heavy attacks land. Jinhsi's entire incandescence attack chain counts as resonance skill damage and will not trigger Marcado's coordinated attacks, unless your Mortefi is sequence node 1 or above. With Mortefi's outro skill also buffing only heavy attacks, which she doesn't really do, he's far better suited for other teams and other dragons. With those budget picks in mind, you can easily upgrade from those budget teams. It'll just require some 5-star characters to get it done. For the sustain role, Verena is the premium choice due to her excellent team-wide buffs, very short rotation time, and perhaps most importantly, her coordinated spectral attacks on her Resonance Liberation. Even though Jinhsi shares an attribute with Verena, Spectro, coordinated attacks have a separate cooldown timer, allowing her to provide an incredible amount of stacks to Jinhsi's Forte bar whenever a character attacks during Verena's Resonance Liberation. Slotting in Verena alongside Yanwu will provide some of the highest stack generation in the game. So high, in fact, that Jinhsi can sometimes overcap on stacks when both coordinated attacks are active. Verena's extremely fast concerto energy generation also lets Jinhsi easily enter incandescence through intro skills, rather than needing to attack 4 times. You'll typically slot in Verena to replace Spectro Rover or Tao Chi on Jinhsi's budget teams, and almost always on the Rejuvenating Glow set with 2 energy regen 3-cost echoes. Baizha is an alternative to Verena, as she fires coordinated attacks on her ultimate, but she is undeniably worse than Verena in almost every single way. First, Baizha's coordinated attacks fire every 2.5 seconds, versus every second like Verena. With Jinhsi's outro skill active, this is literally 2.5 times slower than Verena's stacking. Second, Baizha's outro skill only affects 1 character on your team. For Jinhsi to receive the damage buff, she must be switched in, and you lose the ability to generate concerto energy on other characters. Third, she's much slower to actually gain that concerto energy. Baizha is still an alternative to the other budget teammates due to her healing ability, but is generally just a worse version of Verena in almost every way when it comes to Jinhsi's compositions and stack generation. If you're happy with your sustain or need Verena on other teams like Jian's, Yinlin is the premium option for off-field damage and stack generation. While it takes her a bit longer to activate her coordinated attacks, she provides much higher damage than Yanwu and increased range on those coordinated attacks. Jinhsi can also make use of her outro skill when she uses her Resonance Liberation, and with Yinlin's very high concerto energy generation, she grants easy access to great buffs in Jinhsi's incandescent state. You'll typically replace Yanwu with Yinlin across her teams. Yinlin can run Void Thunder to maximize her personal damage, or Moonlit Clouds if you're looking to fully buff Jinhsi. Our last team comp is arguably her strongest. It simply combines both Verena and Yinlin along with Jinhsi to create one of the highest damaging teams in the game. These two teammates provide both coordinated attacks and an extremely high concerto energy generation, along with Yinlin's best-in-slot off-field damage and Verina's incredible fast team-wide buffs. Jinhsi will almost always have overcap stacks during incandescence because of all of those coordinated attacks thrown around. Unfortunately, there's a huge issue with running this team in the Tower of Adversity. There are other places where they might be better. Yinlin and Verina are some of the highest value teammates in the game, and are the best in slots for many meta teams. Stretching these characters as far as you can by utilizing those other characters like Taoqi, Yanwu, Spectre Rover, and Baizha will give a player the most possible progression in the hazard zone. Jinhsi is an incredibly strong character that does more than high damage. She uplifts many forgotten characters from 1.0 and gives them a fresh coat of paint and increased viability in the most challenging content in the game. That alone, in my eyes, makes her one of the highest value pulls in the game. Hopefully, this overview was helpful in highlighting some of the highest value units on Jinhsi's teams. I highly recommend giving these units a try, as even with pitiful investment, they can do wonders in Jinhsi's team comps. Jinhsi should also have massive synergy with any future Resonance skill buffers or coordinated attackers, and I'm excited to see where she'll go in the future. For now, she's my pick for the best DPS in the game, but we'll see in future weeks if that title sticks. Peace out.